Welcome back to the channel, everyone. On today's episode, we've got multiple big updates for you. We got the Malik Beasley situation, Dennis Schröder situation, Nickeil Alexander-Walker potentially signing with Detroit, as well as some other trade updates. But stick here, we'll have it all for you in just a moment. All right, I think we have to start with the biggest news of the day, which unfortunately happens to be a negative for our Detroit Pistons. On the eve of free agency, Malik Beasley has been he's in question for a sports gambling potential prop bet from 2023. The Pistons were less than 24 hours away from what we've come to understand from signing Beasley to a 3-year, $42 million deal. He was this close to signing, I believe, his second biggest contract in his career, a big payday after signing for 1 year, $6 million. But now that is all put on hold. At best, Beasley will be found not guilty, and right now I should say he is not guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. But he's currently a free agent. The Pistons, I can't imagine going to offer any kind of deal until there's some clarity on this situation. So he's definitely not going to sign that 3-year, $42 million deal in the upcoming week, and the Pistons will use that cap space elsewhere. So for at least this season, Malik Beasley won't be signing that kind of deal with the Pistons. I'm not exactly sure what happens with him long term. I haven't looked into this too much, but as it relates for the Pistons free agency, and at least for this upcoming season, I think it's pretty safe to say he won't be signing that 3-year, $42 million deal with Detroit, and that cap space will now be used elsewhere. We'll get to who that could be used on in just a moment, but this just sucks. This just sucks. Obviously, if Malik is proven guilty, it's his fault. He has to live with that. And I believe if he's guilty, he won't be able to play in the NBA again. But I mean, Malik on the court for Detroit was exceptional last season. Off the court, helped change the vibes and was a big contributor to the culture. A key part in the Pistons tripling their win total, second most threes in the NBA. Was key in opening up the floor for Cade, for Ivy, for Asar, for Jalen Duren, and helping the young guys thrive. It's going to be. It's not like we're not losing a top 3 player, but Malik last year was this team's second best scorer especially once Ivy was out, and it's going to be a hard player to replace. I don't think this means the Pistons now aren't making the playoffs or anything. If Beasley's not on the team next season, it's just, he had one of the best 3-point shooting seasons of all time. It's hard to find a 6-man who can come in and have the impact like Beasley to, one, accept the role and then excel in it like he did. So, look, I guess from my understanding, if he's proven not guilty, then the Pistons, I assume, would maybe want to bring him back. But right now, it's hard to see him being on the team in the near future. So, not sure how long this will take. We have obviously the comparisons of Jonte Porter, who was found guilty with the Raptors. He can't play in their NBA anymore. And then we also have Terry Rozier, who faced a similar case, but was proven not guilty, and he's obviously still in the NBA. So we'll see what happens there. But Malik will not be signing that deal that was reported tomorrow and in the coming days. So moving on to free agency, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Timberwolves has quickly become one of the leading targets for the Pistons. Mark Stein reports, and Jake Fisher from the Stein line have both been reporting the Pistons, especially following Naz Reid re-signing with the Timberwolves. That has now made Nickeil pretty much the odd man out. Julius Randle was also re-signed, so there's really no way the Wolves can bring back Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So the Pistons and Hawks, I believe, are front runners for the 3-and-D guard. Last season, averaged 9 points, couple of rebounds, couple of assists, 38% from 3. Had some really big-time moments in the playoffs, especially against the Thunder. I think in Game 4, he was their leading scorer in a really close game there. Obviously, those raw numbers don't jump out to you, but he's definitely a guy that can shoot the ball and defend. And I think to get him, it's probably going to cost the mid-level of around 14 to 15 million to bring him in. And I think he's kind of the exact player the Pistons need. I've spoken a lot about kind of upgrading that Tim Hardaway Jr. slot in the sense of getting someone that can shoot and defend. Tim was adequate and tried his best defensively, but at this stage of his career just isn't able to lock down some of the premier guys, perimeter players in the NBA. So to have, if you could sign Nickeil, you'd then have Nickeil, Asar, Ron, Stu, all really good defenders, and you can spread them throughout your rotation. And it's just adding another player that, well, he would be the first player that the Pistons probably have, like a true 3-and-D player. So I think he would be an exceptional get. And I don't think this affects Jaden Ivey at all. Plenty of discussion about that online, but I don't think this would affect Jaden Ivey's like status with the team or where he sits in the pecking order. I think he would still start. I think Alexander-Walker would come off the bench, especially now with what's happening with Malik Beasley. I think Nickeil would probably be the sixth man. Maybe spot start. Maybe you start him at the 3. I think that's Asar's position though, because I don't think you can start Asar at the 4. So, but I think he's just a really, really flexible rotation piece to have, and he would really, really help this team. So let me know your thoughts on adding Nickeil to the team. I think it would be a great get, and it sounds like there's no way the Timberwolves can bring him back. So it's going to be between the Pistons and Hawks, it sounds like, and I think we'll hear pretty quickly in the next 24 to 48 hours on whether or not the Pistons will have landed Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Other player to keep in mind is Santi Alama, who I've spoken about a lot. I believe there is a way the Pistons can sign both Nickeil and Santi Aldama. Aldama's going to be tricky to get, though, because he's a restricted free agent. With the Grizzlies, I think the Grizzlies do want to retain him. I saw today that they've offered him the qualifying offer, and I believe Santi turned that down and is officially a restricted free agent, which is nothing too surprising. So the Grizzlies, I believe, do want to retain him. It's probably going to cost something like 4 years, 72 million to get him out of Memphis. But I think Santi is definitely the other big name player to watch for the Pistons in the coming days. But I think Nickeil is more likely as he's an unrestricted free agent. So moving on, some team updates for the Pistons before we get out of here. So Dennis Schröder, a lot of this stuff we're about to talk about came out before the Malik news this morning, but Dennis Schröder said basically I think it was on a Twitch stream of his yesterday, that he wants to come back to Detroit, but it looks like Detroit aren't waiting on him. Mark Stein has reported multiple times, and Jake Fisher, that the Kings are very interested in Dennis Schröder and would be willing to give him the mid-level, which is around that 14 million, which previously to the Malik news, the Pistons, well, they can make room to bring in Dennis, but it just didn't seem like the smartest move financially. But it's still, even in light of the business, feels like Schröder is likely on the way out to Sacramento or another destination. That could change. The Pistons reportedly still believe and want to put time into developing Jaden Ivey as a point guard, and we saw him, Ivy, when he was on the team, playing a lot of those backup point guard minutes when Cade was off the floor, handling the ball, and the team still seems to want to value that and develop Jaden that way. So it makes sense if that's their intention to move on from Schröder, because he would take all those minutes. Whether or not you agree with that is up to you, but I think Jaden can continue to develop in that area. But I do think they will miss having a guy like Dennis Schröder. Even if financially it makes sense to maybe not bring him back at the price it might cost. But we'll see. The Malik news changes a lot of things, because it sounds like whilst the Pistons knew this might have been a possibility, I can't imagine them finding out the Shams news the way we did was a complete shock. Things could change and Dennis could come back, but it seems like it's more likely he doesn't. Final thing is the Pistons are gauging the market for a Fontecchio trade. In order to, if they can trade Fontecchio, it would allow them to have approximately 24 million in cap space. which, you know, they can use to sign both Santi and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, sign some other free agents. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not really shocked they're looking to move on from Fontecchio. Whilst the deal at the time seemed like a really good value, signing him for 2 years, 16 million, he just really struggled last season. He did have foot surgery in the prior off season, so I think that slowed him down. But he just kind of felt like a bit of the odd man out. Don't think he played in the playoffs. Struggled to be consistent with his shots. So it'd be interesting to see. Fontecchio isn't expiring at 8 million, which is a nice contract to have. So there is some value there for a team in terms of acquiring a contract like that to move on in other trades, even if Fontecchio's value as a player isn't at its all-time high. So we'll see what happens there. But that's all the news for today. I'll be going live tomorrow with Kyle Metz, the Pistons Twitter salary cap guru, at 6 p.m. to go through all the free agency deals as they come through. So stick with the channel. But yeah, buckle up for a very exciting and crazy next couple of days, I feel like. But if you could please like, subscribe, drop a comment below. It all helps. Appreciate all of you. And as always, go Pistons.